Tell your story.
Change the conversation.
Organized by students. TEDx Youth at SHC.
Sorry to confuse our viewers today, but it's a cultural thing. My mom said, if you don't bow in front of your audience, don't expect any dinner tonight. And that's what's fascinated me instead of making me anxious of what's dinner tonight. As a son from a Korean family household, why do we have to bow? Or why is it that we were taught to bow every time compared to other families who just simply give a little head nod or a wave? Now, before you assume what I'm here to talk about, it's not about cultural mannerisms. Rather, the characters we possess as human beings. Back to my mom as an example. Moms that look like me or her are stereotyped in movies or any media form as aggressive, tiger-like, sometimes passive-aggressive, etc. And you're right. Sorry, Mom. But that's the fascinating part, isn't it? The characters we recognize today are just mere reflections of ourselves, specifically offering us some sort of role of what we're meant to do, not as sons, daughters, friends, the cool aunts, or the crazy deranged uncle that you see once in a lifetime, but as human beings. To all dads, you can relate a moment with your son or daughter when Atticus Finch from To Kill a Mockingbird expressed, "You never really understand a person until you consider things from their point of view. You need to climb around his skin and walk around in it." Characters in your favorite movies or TV shows shed light on the roles we possess as members of the human race. So think about this question. Who's your favorite character? In our knowledge of storytelling, the idea of the hero is profoundly ingrained. We are instructed to recognize and trace the path of this major figure from English classrooms to literary theory. You know the 12 conventional stages, such as the call to action, the refusal to adventure, meeting the mentor, crossing the threshold, encountering the climax, the redemption/resurrection, return to the other threshold. You get the gist of it. Importantly, the hero goes on the journey of self-discovery, or as we would like to call it, the hero's journey. But if you look more closely, you may see that this viewpoint oversimplifies the nuanced nature of narrative. In actuality, there are many crossing storylines in both life and literature, each with its own protagonists, antagonists, and supporting cast. Basically, we are not the main characters of our own stories. This idea challenges the traditional view of personal growth and change, despite the fact that it may appear paradoxical. Possibly a better way to see ourselves would be as extras in a communal story, each of us contributing to the development of its world around us, rather than as heroes on a quest for self-discovery. In addition, by letting go of the idea of a single hero, we recognize the diversity of identities and stories that exist in society. Every person adds to the rich fabric of the human experience with their own history and viewpoint. This realization encourages empathy and comprehension, allowing us to accept the complexity of other people's experiences in addition to our own. Because of this, the lack of a main character promotes a more inclusive and all-encompassing style of narrative that visualizes the variety of perspectives and experiences that make up our shared moments. In other words, we have been watching movies the wrong way. That's quite a statement, considering that maybe half of you here today are probably assuming I watch movies just for the thrill of it. The thrill of it, I understand, since movies have to have those mind-blowing moments such as the greatest fight scenes, the stunning visual effects like Pandora and Avatar, or watching Tom Cruise fly in a jet, hang off an airplane, playing football with Miles Teller and Top Gun. Ooh la la. Same as real life. What drives your story is yourself and the people that provide some sort of motivation and sign to further more of your narrative. In other words, the story is not something you should anticipate. Rather, what carries your story or the film are simply the characters. We all know the show where a bunch of kids with funny haircuts and outlandish outfits, since it was the 80s, respectfully, where they fight this monster that will terrorize the innocent town of Hawkins, Indiana. Stranger Things. Almost to my knowledge, many would think that the majority of watchers would claim Eleven or Mike as their favorite character, when in reality, it's the supporting characters that carry the storyline and live up to the narrative's vision or the main group. Just think Steve Harrington. It's not his luscious haircut or his charming personality that leads us to love him as a person and character, rather the aspects of ourselves, protective, loyal, and overshadowed but fierce in determination and fearlessness, allow us to better see ourselves through his integral role in the story, and thus the big narrative we're all a part of. Turning our attention to the supporting parts we play in the stories of our favorite films provides a great chance for self-analysis and breakthroughs. We all have important parts to play in other people's lives, just as every character in a movie has a certain function. I mean, just think, without Dusty's mysterious girlfriend, Susie Poo, the group wouldn't have fulfilled the end goal if it weren't for her giving the codes to close the portal of the Upside Down. We wouldn't even be having that infamous song of a never-ending story. Through analyzing these supporting characters' characteristics and behaviors, we may learn more about how we contribute to the tales that are being told around us. Our favorite films serve as both a source of entertainment and inspiration, helping us to better understand the importance of our own supporting parts in this larger context of life. Through this experience, we develop a feeling of interdependence and connection that goes beyond ego and self-interest when we acknowledge the significance of our own supporting roles. With this in mind, think about this after your favorite movie, night gathering, or solo date. No shame, God knows I've been there. We're all like an unsolved mystery, seeking to be solved or discovered. But through these supporting characters, from the focused character's point of view, we are able to connect these dots to see our own personal narratives unfold. Whiplash, an iconic film by Damien Chazelle, portrays an aspiring drummer who works to achieve perfection quickly, nevertheless encountering obstacles along the way, testing his ability and sanity. Aside from being a spectacular film, which I highly recommend, Chazelle illustrates how side characters may serve as mirrors for the main character, reflecting back on their weaknesses, inner struggles, and strengths. Andrew, the drummer's personal limits and morals are provocatively challenged by J.K. Simmons' character Terrence Fletcher's relentless pursuit of perfection. Andrew is forced to confront his own goals and ideals as a result of Fletcher's persistent tactics, which forces him to reevaluate what success means to him. I myself have a figure or a mentor like Fletcher who taught me how to chase for what I desired rather than simply wanted. If we were to take a step back and reflect, just like in Whiplash, we all have a Terrence Fletcher in our lives that teaches us to chase something. It's safe to say that what pushes our lives, exceeding our expectations and limits, are the people we encounter. When I brought this concept to my counselor, she said, write a one-liner for each of the friends that taught you something in the name of love. And so it happened that I was thinking about the movie of my life. All of them revealed a small factor to myself throughout my high school journey. And I think we can relate a thing or two to what some of these friends have taught us in a disguised way. What's really intriguing is that these thoughts of some characters are almost parallel to what people may think in real life. A friend taught me the art of ambition, aspirations, and dreaming big. The art of staying true and loving thyself. The art of staying true to a character, and the art of listening and holding back. Sometimes we need to appreciate humor on our worst days and let out that inner spark of madness. So we owe that to the ones who taught us the art of going with the flow. Additionally, we may feel alone, cold, hopeless. And we must recognize that level of pain and how to remember the hurt in order to be familiar with the pain again. And that goes to our companions who taught us the art of being okay when you're not okay. For wise old soul friends, much like Master Oogway and Kung Fu Panda, they taught us the art of observance and acknowledging differences, since they're always about the people, tradition, culture, and the small moments. Now, it's reasonable to wonder at this point, am I implying that I'm the main character or the hero of my own story? To put it simply, the answer is both yes and no. Instead of appearing before you as some messiah like that guy from Dune Part 2, who must bring us all together, I'm just a regular, complicated person figuring out life's mysteries, just like all of you. Then you might be wondering, why the dramatic bow? What made the performance happen? In response, I provide another viewpoint. Without a crowd, I would just be some lone figure on the stage with no dramatic music, swallowed by the huge emptiness of nothingness, of pure nothingness. However, you are present. Here I am. And we find meaning in our own common presence. Back to the bow. Well, it's a nod to custom, a simple but meaningful action that recognizes the interdependence of our lives and our common humanity. In the same way that everyone who came before me as supporting inspirational figures follows some kind of tradition or ritual, we are also impacted by these practices and carry them out practically without thinking about it. It's second nature to us. I did not bow out of showmanship, but rather out of respect and in sincere acknowledgement of the shared path we are all on. We remind ourselves that we are not really alone, even in the vastness of life, by embracing tradition and reinforcing our ties of kinship and solidarity. We, not I, carry the bloodline and tradition through our stories. So next time you have your movie night with yourself, your family, friends, that special someone, don't think about what will happen to our main character. Watch the character where you went, oh, that's so me. Thank you.